Good Tuesday morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Elevo seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. I'm Joe Everett with today's farm news. Well, it looks like most of the combines will be parked today as rain has moved through the Buckeye State. We'll have a full forecast update for you shortly to see when farmers can expect to get back to the fields. A quick calendar reminder, powered by Soy Biodiesel, make sure you tune in today at midday for an update from Ohio Corn and Wheat. Well, for the fourth year in a row, water levels on both the Ohio and Mississippi rivers are dropping to critically low levels. That's forcing shippers to lighten their loads on grain barges right in the middle of harvest season. As barge rates climb higher, those extra costs are working their way back to the farm. Gary Williams with the Upper Mississippi River Water Association told AgriPulse that between low crop prices and high shipping costs, corn and soybean growers are running out of space to stash their grain, storing it anywhere they can find. A Forbes report says this could not come at a worse time. This is the peak season for moving corn and soybeans downriver to New Orleans for export. And if the water levels keep dropping, Mike Steenhoek with the Soy Transportation Coalition warns it could mean more lost profits for farmers, all because of an increasingly inefficient transportation system. Well, our very own Brandon Smith caught up with Jed Bauer, a fifth-generation corn and soybean farmer from Washington Courthouse, about beginning his term as the president of the National Corn Growers Association to talk about his top priorities. Here's a clip.
Well, I think number one, as we look at just the agriculture as a whole, the farm economy, that's huge. So we're diving into that. We got to make farmers profitable. Obviously, we've heard a lot of keywords about sustainability and things in the past few years, but farmers don't have that opportunity if they're not profitable. So I think that's going to be the number one thing as I dive into this and look at this is we've got to keep farmers profitable, and there's a lot of ways to do that. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners, and you've heard, the one thing we got to get across the threshold right now is E15. That's easy to do. It doesn't cost taxpayers anything. If anything, it saves them at the pump. I think that's a great way to generate some corn grind and put a little bit of money back in the farmers' pockets. Now, moving out from that, obviously, we're going to look at input cost. We're going to look at new ways to grind corn, new uses. It's kind of a shame looking right now. We're literally at record levels of exporting corn, and we're not seeing it, at the markets. So I think we got to continue that push and continue those conversations with the administration and always looking for new ways to export corn in any form, anywhere in the world. And then, of course, new ways, obviously, as I mentioned, that we can use it here at home.
Again, that was Jed Bauer, incoming president of the National Corn Growers Association. For that full interview, you can find that online at ohioagnet.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back with today's weather next here on the Ohio AgNet.
So many things that can have an impact on agriculture are out of the farmer's control. Yet when the weather doesn't cooperate, markets go lower, or equipment breaks down, the farmer blames themselves. Hi, I am Nathan Brown, a Highland County farmer and a member of the Ohio Farm Bureau Board of Trustees. If you or someone you know is struggling with stress on the farm, text 4HOPE to 741-741 or go visit gotyourbackohio.org. A message from the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation.
Farmers, be safe moving from field to field this season. Keep your warning lights clean and in good working order for roadway travel. Take a few minutes to check your lights and reflectors and make sure your slow-moving vehicle emblem is visible as you share the road. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This message provided to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
You're tuning in on the Ohio AgNet. Today's weather brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got a little moisture trying to work through the Buckeye State today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Nothing dramatic here, nothing that is surprising. Moisture worked in overnight and is going to continue to slide east and southeast through the state today. We'll start to see clearing here this afternoon in the northwestern parts of the state. It may take through the overnight to get done with everything everywhere else. All in, all done. I think we're looking for a tenth or two in a few areas of the state, all the way up to 1.5 inches in the south. I-70 southward could be on the line to get a few thunderstorms out of this here today. So moisture is going to be almost everywhere, 90% coverage of good good rains here overall. We get into a drier forecast window then starting tomorrow on through the end of the week. Tomorrow and Thursday in particular are going to be looking quite cool. Very chilly here. I won't even rule out a little bit of patchy frost in a few areas like northwestern parts of Ohio up closer to the Michigan line. I don't think it's a big story, but we're going to mention it anyway just because you're hearing about it probably from somebody else on social media. Boy, howdy, those guys have been really amped up on frost and freeze here recently. In any case, we're cool for 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we start to warm up toward the end of the week. As the warmer air comes up from the south, we may string out a few spits and sprinkles in west and northwestern parts of Ohio overnight Friday night into Saturday, but then we're back to fully dry air for Saturday midday right on through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. Bigger weather systems coming together in the Central Plains Wednesday forward next week. First one misses us to the west a bit, but I think we take a direct hit late Friday night into next Saturday. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, we're going to do things a little different today. Normally, I would have Ohio Crop Progress Report numbers for you, but with the government shutdown, we're going to recap those numbers from last week. This update is sponsored by Unleaded 88. Save on fuel with the blue handle. Fill up with Unleaded 88. Discover more at ohiocornandwheat.org. Corn harvested was pegged at 10% complete last week. That is 3 points ahead of the 5-year average. Soybean harvested was rated at 21% complete. That is 9 points ahead of the 5-year average. And last week, wheat planted was rated at 11% complete. That is 1 point behind the 5-year average. As I look at these numbers from last week and sort of compare to where we're at this week in my area, I would say soybean harvest has moved right along. Most guys are probably at least 50% complete, if not more, and some even finished. Now turning to the corn harvest numbers, not much has been done here locally. I did talk to a few local farmers who have started. Moistures ranging anywhere from about 15 to 17.5%. Once this rain moves through the Buckeye State, I look for combines to hit the cornfields in our area and make those harvest progress numbers jump even higher. It'll be exciting to see how much harvest progress has been done here in Ohio whenever the next Ohio Crop Progress Report is released. Well, Ag Appropriations Committee Chair John Hoeven is urging added relief for farmers to undercut China's retaliatory leverage in tariff negotiations with the White House.
It's critical that we don't allow China to use our farmers as a pressure point.
That's amid the ongoing tariff talks with Beijing that Senator John Hoeven argues is a reason for farm relief.
U.S. producers deserve to be treated fairly in the global marketplace, not to be used as a tool by China in their negotiations on fair trade, which we demand.
Hoeven says it's time to send a signal.
By acting now and providing assistance to our producers during these negotiations, we will send a very strong signal to China that their tactics will not work.
Hoeven says that's why he's been working with the administration on emergency assistance to bridge the gap until trade talks are complete.
Along with Senate Ag Committee Chairman, Senator Bozeman, we've done a lot of work and we're ready to go when the President and the Secretary decide it's time to move forward with a plan that will help bridge that gap and keep our producers afloat.
President Trump told reporters recently he wants to use tariff revenue to do that. Secretary Rowland said the administration is looking at all options as disaster aid that was already approved is paid out. Well, the lowest cattle supply is expected to hit in early 2026, and CattleFax CEO Randy Blatch said we are in the eye of the storm when it comes to the cattle cycle. Blatch spoke to the attendees at the Certified Angus Beef annual conference. He said the closed border with Mexico and tariff deals are slowing beef exports are small factors in what the overall supply being so low. The outlook is the same, he said. Cow slaughter was at a high in 2022, and Blatch said producers are not reducing herd numbers at this point, but they also aren't growing them. Current cow slaughter is down 30% from a high 3 years ago, but lean beef is still in demand. Drought continues to pressure a herd rebuild. Some ranchers are starting to retain more heifers. We expect a heifer or cow inventory increase of 300,000 head in each of the next 2 years, he added, but not a steep increase like 2014 when the fastest regrowth of a herd was seen after drought caused a reduction. He said higher interest rates are one of the reasons for the slow increase. Stay tuned. We'll be back with your grain analysis and your overnight markets after this.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasoh.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
It's now time for today's market analysis, which is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Call 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finishing the Monday session mixed as we kicked off the work week. Futures were mixed overall as the flow of new investment into the commodity market slowed quite a bit, and the refilling of the U.S. cash grain pipeline is currently underway. Since last Wednesday, the 1st of October, new funds have been placed into the Board of Trade grain market. That was accelerated by a post on Truth Social by President Trump that soybeans would be added to the Chinese meeting before the APEC meeting with Chinese President Xi. Historically, any new investment enters and exits, and the Board of Trade grain room has a 3-day window of such. This would have been the 4th day on Monday, and the window for new investment seems to be closing. Add to that a little bit of interesting chatter that the Chinese delegation canceled most of their hotel rooms for the APEC conference at the end of the month. That led some to think that maybe the Trump-Xi arrangement is going to go by the wayside. However, there is a meeting for CEOs, I'm using bunny fingers here, CEOs ahead of the APEC. I think it's around the 27th or 28th that a Chinese meeting still may be on during. But that caused a little bit of chatter out there, and you got to feed the bull every day, and it wasn't much bull fodder as we went through Monday. Corn has not closed below its 50-day moving average since August. The market fell below it last week, but was unable to see a confirming settlement. The 50-day moving average came in at 415.25 yesterday on December futures. That's going to be closely watched all week. With a nice little bump at the end of the day, we were okay. Harvest accelerating quickly this past week, and after a slight pause, at least in our area, for rain here today, and I'll admit it's going to be spotty. It's back to game on afterwards. Yes, we're not going to be quite as warm. It's not going to be summer-like across the region, but we should be wide open on dry air and harvestability all the way till closer to the 21st or 22nd. That's going to weigh heavily again on these refilling of cash grain supplies. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. December corn, 421.25, down a half. March corn, 437, down 1.25. May corn, 446, down 1.25. As we turn to soybeans, November, 1018.75, up a penny. January soybeans, 1036.25, up a half. March soybeans, 1051.5, up a half. As we turn to wheat, December 511, down 1.75, and July wheat 553.25, down 1.5. As we turn to livestock from yesterday's close, October live cattle 231.87, up 85 cents. December live cattle 236.67, up $2.17. February live cattle 239.62, up $2.80. October lean hogs 98.32, down 65 cents. December lean hogs 87.27, down 2 cents. February lean hogs 89.55, up 25 cents. November feeder cattle 360.80, up $5.37. January feeder cattle 355.20, up $5.47. March feeder cattle 351.65, up $5.65. And November class 3 milk 16.97, up 6 cents. To stay up to date on all the latest agricultural news, you can find that at ohioagnet.com. Thanks for joining us, and have a great morning, everyone, and be safe out there this harvest season. This is the Ohio AgNet.